Okay, hi, I'm Nancy Kerwin. I'm the Executive Director for Student, Family, and Community Services in the Chula Vista Elementary School District.
All right. Tell me about your personal experiences, if any, with military dependents.
In my role, I work with lots of children in our district. We have 44 schools and about 27,000 students. But in particular, my department focuses services on preschool-age children. We have lots and lots of lower-income families that come in and are serving probably right around 800 youngsters. We've had many families come to us who are military, looking for preschool. Many of our enlisted men and women don't make enough to be able to afford to send their children to a private or parochial preschool, so they've come to our school districts. And in the conversations that we've had with those families, learned so much about the strengths of those families and some of the hardships, some of the trials that they've gone through moving from city to city. Many of the youngsters that would come in as 3- and 4-year-olds, we'd find pretty quickly after placing them in programs might have developmental disabilities that had never been picked up. You know, if you move from community to community and don't stay anywhere too long and don't have an opportunity to form those relationships and get to know families with other children, you don't really understand what normal child development is. So we've worked a lot with hooking those families up to different community services in our area.
That's awesome. That's a good solution to that. How has the organization you're affiliated with addressed these needs?
The Chula Vista community is well known for the collaborative relationships that we have between different service providers. About 15 years ago, it was through Healthy Families here in California. There were some grant monies that came into the community, and we formed 5 family resource centers. Those are still in existence today and provide pretty much one-stop shopping for families, so that if you need medical assistance, if you need insurance for your children, have legal concerns, or trying to find food for your family, gosh, any of our family resource centers can take care of that. Service providers meet on a monthly basis. We have over 100 members of our community collaborative at this point. And although Chula Vista is a fairly large city, it still has a small town feeling, so that principals in our area are well aware of what's available. They can pick up the phone and connect families with the services that they need. And so for our military families, this has just been a really welcome gift for many of them.
Yeah, and I mean, having a program like that, or someone who knows where they can send them to go, because it is a big difference from being an active member of the military and then retired. That transition, because then, like you said, health insurance for your kids, the military covers that at first, but what do you do when you're
making those transitions, right?
Yeah, so just making those a little easier. That's awesome. What are some of the advantages or challenges that you've encountered with military dependents and their families?
I found many of the dependents I've worked with, and I'm thinking specifically of mothers right now, so many of them are so resourceful, just learning by the necessity of moving from one community to another, learning to adapt quickly, to organize themselves well. And conversely, for some parents, some of the mothers, it's very difficult. You've left your family, your support system. Suddenly you find yourself in a whole new environment with no one to really rely on. We were working with a family fairly recently who was a mother and her 3 children who had come to our area, to our school district, enrolled 2 of the children in preschool, one of whom we found had significant special education needs. We'd been working with her and the children about 2 months when her husband presented her with divorce papers. Suddenly she found herself homeless, and she literally showed up at our office door one day looking for assistance and not knowing what to do. And as I mentioned before, because of the relationships that have formed between our school district and so many of the service providers, we were able to find her temporary housing, started assessment assessments for her child who really needed some special education programming, linked her up with job training, and now she's in an apartment where she'll be able to stay for the next probably 16, 18 months. And again, it was just being able to provide that safety net, if you will. But lots of families need that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Are you familiar with any of the initiatives for special programs targeted for military dependents?
You know, I've just been learning more about them recently, and one in particular, the Navy's been building some remarkably wonderful child care centers here in the San Diego community. And I know because I've had a couple of employees who have left our school district and are now running these particular complexes. Very large, very designed to really fit many, many needs of our families. And again, specifically designed for the military, state-of-the-art centers. And through those, I know that lots of our families are finding lots of special programs. I wish I could tell you more about them, but I'm just learning too.
Yeah, well, I mean, any, starting somewhere is good, and those, I mean, the stuff you talked about already sounds like really good work. So,
Sure.
What do you consider top priorities in working with military dependents?
From a school district's perspective, we've learned just in the last few months that we have some of our schools are more heavily impacted with military dependents, military children. And in talking with teaching staff, we found many of them don't really have the training in the background to understand some of the emotional kind of components that these youngsters are going through. I was just talking this morning with a couple of associate principals from our district, and they were sharing how important it's been to have social work interns placed in their schools to be able to really meet the needs of those children and families. They said it's been there for years, but we just haven't had the funding to be able to provide that kind of social and emotional support for those youngsters. So that's important. I'd love to see, we have family resource centers in our district, and it's a common way of doing business. I'd like to see, though, being able to take one of those and transform it more into one that just would be for our military families. We were surprised last year when we pulled the data and found we have over 3,000 children in our district. That's a lot of families. And to be able to tailor those resource centers to meet the specific needs of those families is a goal of ours, and one that we're looking at really closely right now with the community.
I mean, the fact that you already have a number to the amount in your community is already a good step forward. So, do you think that how do you think public education has responded to the needs of military students?
As a whole, I don't think we've responded very well. Firstly, lots of times we don't know a military student when they arrive on our school campuses, unless a parent really points out that, we're in the military, we just came from Texas, we just came from Seattle. We might not know. And only once a child's in a classroom and through conversation with his or her teacher, suddenly the school does become aware. So I think we need to be able to identify these students much earlier. And we need to be able to track these youngsters. One of the things that we found in our district, and I guess in San Diego as a whole, many families who have youngsters with special needs end up in San Diego because of the medical services that are available through the military, as well as just the common knowledge that we've got good schools and we've got good special education programs. In our district, we have close to 200 youngsters that have been diagnosed as autistic, and I don't have the exact percentage, but in talking with special education staff, many of these youngsters are military. And to be able to provide more, to be able to care for their needs more promptly, to be able to diagnose, to get them in the kind of academic situations that would really provide the support, that's a big goal of ours right now, and I think we could do a better job of it.